Welcome to the Healing Bitch podcast. I'm Jackie Ortez, a psychic medium that has a penchant for all things spiritual. During this time with me, we will explore the world of energy and how it affects us all. Each podcast will address a question submitted from my listeners that I feel I have the authority to answer. So get comfy, throw on your headphones, and let's see what happens. Hey guys, welcome back to the Healing Bitch podcast. I am Jackie Ortez, your host. If you would like to follow the podcast, you can follow us on Instagram at the Healing Bitch podcast. And also, if you're interested in any sessions with me at any time, or just asking me questions in general, you can also follow me on Instagram at Healing Guidance Jackie. So, today is February 6th. And let me tell you, first of all, January was the most January I've ever experienced in my life. You know, every year it is really long, usually, but this year felt like it was like 3 months long. By the time January 25th came, I was like, there's no way this was just a month after Christmas. Did anybody else feel like that? Like, because it just, it was really long. And then with the inauguration happening in that month and all the changes in the government that are currently happening, which is having an effect on the collective energy of all of us, this week has been crazy. All I've wanted to do for the past 3 weeks actually has been hibernate, sleep, not talk to really many people, not make that many plans, and just work on myself, my business, my goals, the future. I've been very self-reflective. I've realized what does not belong in my life anymore. I've realized what I want to bring into my life and what I want my life to look like. So if you have been feeling the same way, let me know. And I wouldn't be surprised because the collective energy altogether of everybody is, we have an undercurrent of fear and frustration right now, and everyone has been taking it out on each other. Social media, I am not a huge fan of it. I have to be on it because of the podcast and because of the business. And, you know, I do surround myself with really happy things and my feeds are really happy on every single platform. But I posted something on TikTok, I think like 2 weeks ago, right? And it was just a stupid little thing. And it said, I'm paraphrasing here, but it said something like, I want AI to do my dishes and laundry so I have more time to do art and writing instead of AI doing my writing and art so I have more time to do laundry. Didn't think much of it. I was like, whatever, this is going to get like 50 likes. It's up to over 140,000 views right now on TikTok, which is the highest I've ever gotten. And the comments are really unhinged. There are people just arguing with each other, arguing with me, telling me I'm stupid. And that's not how AI works. People trying to tell me how AI works and just basically calling me dumb. And I don't understand it. Not meaning I don't understand AI, but like, who the fuck cares? It's a stupid little meme. But this is just an example of what I understand. This has been going on for a long time, but this is a reflection of what's happening in society. And this past Sunday, I got a Reiki session from my girl Jess, and the Arcturians came through and they told me that I needed to do an episode on kindness. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about some scientific facts behind kindness. We're going to talk about how you can be more kind to other people. And we're also going to talk about why it is so important to be kind, especially right now in this world. So let's start with the definition of kindness. So I looked it up before we started today, and it says the kindness definition is the quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate. And when I read that, the word that stood out to me the most was considerate. I feel like that's what is happening right now in society. And it's not just like society as a whole. I have seen it in friends. I've seen it in family lately, how the consideration is not completely there, especially if you don't agree with them. I personally like to think that I'm a very considerate person within my boundaries. I also have very strong boundaries, but I try not to be inconsiderate to other people. This might be a people-pleasing part of me. I am working on that too. You know, we all kind of have that, especially as women. But kindness is not weakness, people. The strongest women, especially that I know, are the kindest, because those women will also cut you if you fuck with them. Kindness takes a lot of courage, I believe. And it also takes a lot of, well, like I was just saying, consideration. And I'll give you an example. Sometimes when I'm having conversations with people and I don't necessarily agree with them about what they're talking about, and they're trying to persuade me to think about and go over to the side and agree with them, I just simply say, we're just going to have to disagree. Oh, no, that's not what I say. I mean, I say we're going to have to disagree, but I say we're going to have to agree to disagree on this. And then I remove myself from the conversation, or I change the conversation into something else. And the reason why I do this is I could definitely go off on people. That's in me. That's always been in me, especially when I was younger, and I have worked on that. But I try to approach everybody with the way that I want to be approached. It's just like the old saying, like, treat those how you want to be treated, right? And if you treat people with consideration and kindness, you're going to get more of that. So let's go into some statistics. So I wanted to bring some scientific facts in for those of you who like the facts. So we're going to say the statistics that I found are people who practice kindness have 23% less cortisol and are less stressed in their bodies. Probably because they're doing acts that make them feel good. Being kind makes you feel good. If being kind doesn't make you feel good, you're being fake. You need this kindness to really come within you. Okay, so kindness also increases energy, oxytocin, serotonin, pleasure, and happiness, which I know myself because ever since I've been kinder to people, I feel better. I feel better about myself. I feel better about how I'm showing up. I can definitely say that's true. And then the third statistic I have is kindness decreases pain, stress, anxiety, depression, and blood pressure, which I can imagine, because if it's going to increase the oxytocin and the serotonin and decrease your cortisol, of course your blood pressure is going to go down, because yes, blood pressure, sometimes it is in our family DNA. So it's genetic, and sometimes it's caused by food, but stress is like the number one killer. Stress will fuck your body up faster than anything else. So that absolutely makes sense. We're not going to go into that because I could go into that, and I'm trying to stay on topic today. So let's talk about some ways that you can be kind that are easy. If you're starting with this, and let's say you're a person that walks around and you just don't want to be kind to other people because you feel like shit. And it is so hard for you to put on a face for other people or to be kind to somebody else. And I, again, understand what that feels like, because that is how I felt in my 20s and part of my 30s, where I was just so hurt inside that I couldn't imagine being kind to someone else. And I didn't receive that much kindness either. I mean, the truth be told, I could have, and I didn't recognize it. And that could be what's happening to you too. Maybe you're receiving some kindness and you don't even recognize it because you're just, going about your day in your head. So first we're going to talk about how to be kind in little ways, and then we'll go into how you can recognize kindness in your everyday life. So easy little ways to be kind. Call a friend you haven't spoken to and you miss for 5 minutes. Ask them how they are. Give a compliment to somebody. I love doing this. I actually have, I do this more when I'm by myself, but I think I do this with my friends too. I will talk to strangers, and I'm not saying like big, long conversations kind of talk to strangers. I mean, like, I'll see a girl in the line getting coffee and I'll tell her I really like her shoes when I really do like them, or that her sweater is cute, or this was a funny one. Two funny things happened with guys recently. One, I was in Costco and I was getting shrimp, and the guy, I guess he didn't realize what the date was, and he was like, "Oh, all the shrimp is expired. Did you pick one up?" He like stopped me from walking away with the shrimp, and I was like, "What day is it?" And I looked at the date, and he was like, "Oh my God, I thought it was like the 20th, and it was like the 17th of January." And I just said to him, I kind of like playfully hit him on the shoulder, and I was like, "Look at you, you little time traveler." And he started laughing. And then there was a guy in Target at the end cap, and there were a bunch of weights, and he just like was picking up the weights, and he was like, like doing a bicep curl with the different weights. And I passed him, and he was, both of these men were older, by the way, like probably like 60s. And I said to him, I go, "Oh, look at you. You're so strong." And he started laughing, and then I just walked away and said, "Have a good night." I don't know why I'm compelled to do stuff like that, but I am. So it doesn't have to be like a big awkward thing. It could just be like, "Hey, your shoes are really cute. Oh, your hair looks really nice," just to a stranger. And I almost feel like when you get a compliment from a stranger, it feels really, really good because they didn't have to do that. You don't have to say anything to anybody else, but you chose to go out of your way to do that. So that's a great thing. Hold the door for somebody when they're walking through, regardless if it's a man or a woman. Smile at a stranger. I have that habit from when I worked on the cruise ship like years and years ago, where when we were in the passenger part of the cruise ship, we had to look at everybody in the eye and smile at them, no matter what. When we were below deck and only in the staff section, we didn't have to, but I picked up that habit, and then I noticed that I just randomly still do it 20 something years later. And I don't regret it because I actually get a lot of really good smiles from people, and it makes me feel good. And I know that I probably made them feel pretty good too, And then just ask somebody how they're doing. Like when you go up to get a coffee or you go get a meal and they're like, "Hi, how are you? What would you like to order?" Instead of just like launching into your order, just ask them how they are. Be like, "Hi, how are you?" "Oh, good. That's great." Just do that. Those are easy ways to show kindness in everyday world. Everyday world. Oh, geez. In the everyday world. And in your life. And I can promise you that the more kindness that you put out in the world, the more kindness is going to come back to you. And like I started saying in the beginning of this podcast, we need this right now. We need to be kind to each other. We do not need to be fighting. What's happening in the world and what's happening in the United States is a spiritual war. We are being manipulated to stay in a place of fear so we can be controlled. So the entities above that are trying to control us, and I'm not saying it's the government, it's the president. It goes beyond that. They are the scapegoats that are putting everything in, but they're not the ones calling the fucking shots. So, I don't care who you voted for. I don't care if you believe the president's doing a good job or not. I do not care. What I care about is your character. What I care about is if you care about other people. And what I care about is if you are a good person and you are kind to other people. So take a moment, think about something you can do to be kind to somebody, and try to do it. Just one little act a day. Because that's what we need. We need love. We need kindness. We need genuine people right now to help the vibration get out of fear. And with that, I will say good night. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate each and every one of you listeners. You have no idea how much I appreciate you. And in this journey of the podcast, I think we're almost 6 months into it, which is freaking nuts. But I love it. So thank you so much for joining me again, and I will see you soon.